Breaking: terror attack in Pittsburgh 24 hours after FBI issued urgent warning for Americans. The left is constantly pushing their twisted rhetoric that Muslims are peaceful and loving people. That hardly seems the case when you look at the number of terrorist attacks committed in the name of Allah in recent years. Many of these heinous terrorist attacks have occurred mostly in Europe due to their relaxed border policies. However, it appears that terror has come to our shores again since the FBI has just issued this chilling warning. Over the last several months there has been an increase in terror attacks around the globe. For instance, in March a Muslim extremist plowed over 4 people in London with his car. Following that attack in June, another Muslim extremist killed 8 people when he ran pedestrians over in his car and then stabbed them with knives on London Bridge. Then in May, a man plowed into a group of people injuring 22 and killing 1 person in New York's Times Square. Which brings us to this month in Pittsburgh, where a car veered off the roadway, injuring 2 pedestrians. Are you sensing a pattern here? Obviously, the FBI has noticed the pattern too and has issued this warning for all Americans. According to Breaking 911, the crash occurred on Wednesday night when a car suddenly veered off course and ramming into innocent people walking in downtown Pittsburgh. At the moment, law enforcement is investigating the crash, but I would not be surprised in the least if it turns out to be terror-related, and here is why. Earlier this year, Osama bin Laden's son, Hamza bin Laden released a 10-minute video attempting to unite ISIS and al-Qaeda. The video has the younger bin Laden giving advice on how to take out infidels with whatever weapon they have available. This is advice for anyone who intends to carry out a martyrdom operation: be perfect in your choice of targets, so that you may damage your enemies more. If you are able to pick a firearm, well and good; if not, the options are many. Hamza bin Laden also adds in the latest video, take lead in inflicting losses, attacking the jugular of the enemy and hitting its joints, Here is the terrifying video. Obviously, that message was not lost on ISIS and al-Qaeda supporters, since they now have publicly called for and encouraged their supporters to use vehicles as weapons. In a video that ISIS released last year, it shows a French ISIS member demonstrating how to kill infidels using knives. Following that video, English-language ISIS propaganda publications then called for vehicle and knife attacks to be used. In a terror group magazine called Rumiyah, there is an article titled Just Terror Tactics which details what vehicles are ideal to use for terror attacks. Here is more from Business Insider. Though being an essential part of modern life, very few actually comprehend the deadly and destructive capability of the motor vehicle and its capacity of reaping large numbers of casualties if used in a premeditated manner, the article said. The article also cited the attack in Nice, France, in July, in which a supposed ISIS supporter killed 86 people by plowing into a crowd with a truck on Bastille Day. Vehicles are like knives, as they are extremely easy to acquire, the article said. The previous issue of Rumiyah included another Just Terror Tactics article that provided tips for knife attacks. Knives are widely available in every land and thus readily accessible, the article said. They are extremely easy to conceal and highly lethal, especially in the hands of someone who knows how to use them effectively. The article also described how to choose a knife and target. So, with all this being mentioned, it is plain to see why cities across the country are now being placed on high alert. Law enforcement officials are now ramping up their efforts in order to thwart a potentially deadly attack with a vehicle. According to the Washington Post. Still, U.S. law enforcement officials say the threat of such attacks is real. In an advisory issued in May, the Transportation Security Administration alerted the nation's trucking companies about the rising risk of rental trucks and hijackings and thefts for purposes of such an attack. The agency urged vigilance as terrorist groups continue to employ the less sophisticated tactics, which can be carried out with minimal planning and training but have potential to inflict mass casualties. No community, large or small, rural or urban, is immune to attacks of this kind by organized or lone wolf terrorists, the TSA report said. From 2014 through April of this year, terrorists carried out 17 vehicle ramming attacks, killing 173 people and injuring 667, the report said. While the statistics represent only a fraction of all casualties from terrorist attacks worldwide, the potential for mass casualties and difficulty for law enforcement in planning for or preventing such attacks makes them attractive for would-be terrorists. In the 1990s, barriers were designed to protect from car bombs after the 1998 vehicle bombings at U.S. embassies in East Africa. The use of barriers, such as bollards, skyrocketed after September 11, 2001, terrorist attacks as officials sought to protect federal buildings and increase security at potential targets, such as airports and stadiums. The latest threat has cities in Europe, Australia and North America making new investments, from barriers along a number of bridges across the River Thames in London to retractable bollards in the tourist area of Surfers Paradise in eastern Australia. Vehicle barriers along roads around the All England Club were among the enhanced security measures surrounding Wimbledon this week. In Washington, D.C., which is filled with high-profile targets as the nation's capital, law enforcement officials would not discuss specific tactics but acknowledged that they are pursuing various means to protect pedestrians, including the installation of more bollards on city streets. The solution is pretty simple if you ask me. The travel ban that President Trump has signed in order to protect Americans needs to be enacted with no provisions. There is no reason that we as Americans need to worry about walking down the street or being plowed over by a deranged Muslim lunatic in a car. They can all stay out of America and run themselves over with cars in the Middle East and leave us all alone. It is the time that we push back against the insanity of the left and their feel-good politics. Until then, we need to keep our heads on a swivel and stay on alert at all times. Share if you want President Trump's travel ban to be instated right away. Thanks for watching. Please subscribe Breaking News 365 channel. Goodbye and see you again.